All right, so I whipped both bikes out, all right, because I'm planning on selling the first bike because I just obviously can't deal with having two insurances, two regos, all that sort of upkeep, and all the storage that comes with it. So I wanted to sort of give them a bit of a side by side comparison. So obviously the black one there is the SR model, and the Twilight Blue one is just the S model from 2023, and this one's 2024. Um, Clear differences obviously is this the SR's got double front brakes and a single at the back, whereas this one's got one big disc on one side and somewhat similar brakes on the back for that one as well. Battery wise, the Twilight Blue has got 7.2 battery, and of course it's got the storage container on the left. And the battery on this one, 15.6, but obviously, some say that you can expand it, and I'm sure that that's probably true. I must admit that the watermelon size motor on this one is almost twice the size of this one. It's almost twice the size, so I would say comparable as twice the size. But from a rideability perspective, the differences, they're both really quick actually, and I'm kind of wondering whether or not the black bike is only marginally faster from an acceleration perspective, and I think that's probably because it's got some sort of A2 sort of European setting where I think it's limited a little bit. Obviously, the motor can go a lot quicker, but the programming inside it is limited. So, I mean, I used to get about 5.4, 5.3 seconds 0 to 100 on the Twilight Blue one, and to date, I haven't yet tested the black one properly. I did like one that was, I think, about 5 seconds or 4.8 or something like that, but I was at like 70% charge, so I haven't really actually, charged it up fully and given it a red hot go on the actual timer yet. So they almost are comparable, but the riding difference is sort of noticeable. It's very, very different, and they have very different features, which kind of make the blue one better and kind of make the black one better. And the way I'm going to describe it is the blue one, because of its lightness, right? And it's got I mean, I guess the handlebars are pretty much the same model. I'm not too sure if they're the same or not. But the handlebars on this one feel more like a straight up and down dirt bike. And its flickability is it really is lively. You can just flick it anywhere you go, wherever you point it, it steers perfectly, and it always feels like it's ready to go. You pull the throttle, from naught to like 30 or 40 kilometers per hour. It is like a prancing pony. It sort of just hops and it's like, I want to go, I want to go. It just launches. Whereas when it gets above like 80 kilometers up to about 100 or something like that, it's accelerating, but it's not necessarily trying to rip your arms off or anything like that. It still is pretty quick, but like I said, it doesn't want to accelerate much faster when it's down it's low range. When it's at low range, it's like a screaming toddler. It wants to just go nuts. Whereas the black one tends to, it kind of has, it accelerates nicely at down low, but it doesn't have that prancing sort of, that feeling where sort of, because of the weight and because of the way that the motor is sort of, I guess its ratio is set up, it does not want to just jump off the line at the very low end. But when you go above, 70 or 80 kilometers per hour, it just pulls harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, till you start looking at the speedo and realize you have to slow down. So there's those two differences. They're both very interesting in the way that they ride. So the blue one just launches from really quick at the low end, and the black one pulls hard at the top end. And when you actually ride them at 100 kilometers each, the black one just feels easy. It just rides. It doesn't worry. When it's doing 100, it's happy. The blue one does tend to be a little bit more kind of like you riding a postie bike, I guess, to some degree, where when you're doing 100, it's kind of like, you know, I'm fighting my hardest and I'm doing my thing, but it doesn't feel like it wants to stay there all the time, even though it can. It does go faster than 100. It generally, because of the wind and because of how light it is, it's not necessarily because of the engine. I mean, the engine it's not as big, so it doesn't have that staying power, but it's more about the lightness and about the wind. When you're at 100 on this thing, it feels a little bit more toy-like. It's like I say with a postie bike, it's a bit more toy-like. It feels light and wants to sort of pull you off a little bit. But so when it comes to the black one, because of its weight and because of how its stance, it is more planted when you're doing 100. It feels a lot more relaxing when you're doing 100. You could just do 100 all the time, so a lot more easier. Now going back to the steering and the sort of the handling sort of feel, while this one feels, the blue one feels absolutely nippy and you could just point and steer wherever you wish, the black one does have this sort of feeling when you're using the steering where, you know, when you pull over left, the bike wants to pull left with it and the handlebar wants to pull left and then lock in. And when you turn right, it wants to just fall into place. Whereas this blue one, it just feels like you could sort of steer it with your thumbs, or you could steer it with your index finger. Whereas this one, you sort of need both hands to be able to make sure that the steering doesn't just completely flop over. So there's this weight sort of ratio kind of going on with maybe the angle of attack on the steering and the weight of the battery, that when you turn the black bike, it really wants to just bank the steering right into you. Storage wise, obviously this one's got the smaller storage on there, which I can fit a full loaf of bread in there and stuff like that. And obviously it's got the top tub, and this one also has a top tub. This one does not have any other storage whatsoever, and this top tub does hold the cord okay, but I have to admit it's a bit of a squish. So I always, like I said in one of the other videos, I recommend getting a 5-meter cord or less, and possibly even a squiggly cord, one that crunches up a little bit. Brake wise, both bikes are a little bit tame on the rear brakes, but I did find that, riding around on the blue bike, you can ride on rear brakes only and be okay. This one not so much. This one, the rear brakes it really only knocks about 10-20 kilometers off your sort of speed. It's not that great at slowing you down. Front brakes wise, they're both very, very good. Even though this one is a much smaller set of brakes, it's still just as good because of the weight ratio. Just fine. What else is there? Computer wise, where's my other key? Computer wise, this one here is a lot more simpler. So we'll flick that computer on there. So as you can see, it just sort of starts up pretty easily. It only charges, mind you, by this little socket down here, and that's all it's got. So you've only got just the one lead, and that's the kettle plug, and it charges at about like 30% per hour. That's what I found. So yeah, that's pretty much all you get for the heads-up display. You can modify some of these things a few times. Like you can go to select, and you can change the motor there to trip or to range. I don't think on these particular models the trips reset when you get to 100%, but that is something that does happen with the other bike. So let me just stick the other key in. Where's the key? Okay, this key is a little bit more fiddly than what the other one is, but I believe that it's got a what do you call it? It actually does have an immobilizer, I think, inside this, which it's probably slightly better for security reasons from this. So as you can see, the heads-up display on this one's got 4 settings. So you can modify those openings there. So You can trip A1, and you got your trip watt hours per kilometer, range, and instant power, stuff like that. You can modify it all with this, and of course, like I've said on prior ones, you just pull it hard to be able to make things go away. One thing that you might realize is obviously we've got things like preferences and battery. This one has that thing where you can go out there and put a charge target on, right? You can enable a charge target. This one does not. This one you have to plan how many minutes it's going to be, and you have to turn it off when you believe that it's going to hit somewhere about 80%, because obviously you want to keep the battery at 80% or better to maintain battery life. So with this one, you've just simply got to know your 30% per hour, and this one you can just set it off overnight, and it'll turn itself off at 80%. This one obviously has the full Type 2 charger. So yeah, this one you can take out on the street a lot more better. So you can plug it in anywhere up in the city or through the country, and you'll be okay. Whereas this one, you kind of have to go asking around at cafes to find out, how you're going to plug into this, because you've got no other option. You can't go up to those places with the charging network and just expect to plug in. So you're going to have to anticipate a plug. What else there's to say around this one? So this one, you can actually hook the helmet in this little spot in here. I might quickly show you that. Key's undone. So you pop your key down here, and you pop this, and as you can see, there's a small little storage area for very small things. You probably can't stick your phone or anything there, maybe a wallet, but you can hook the helmet on there. Now I noticed the other day that you can actually hook. Apparently you can hook a helmet on this one too, but it's this thing. Quite frankly, my key does not. My helmet does not have a little hook like that would work for that sort of setup. And of course, that's the tub there, which can fit a full-size loaf of bread in there. So on the grand scheme of things, essentially, both great bikes, almost pretty much both of them go to 0 to 100 in about 5-ish seconds. The blue bike, I find that with 100% charge at 7.2% battery, 7.2 kilowatt hour battery, I find I do about 1 kilometer for every, at least about 800 or 900 meters for every 1% of charge. And that's generally just doing regular ride, not necessarily going on the freeway. The freeway obviously kills it a little bit, like I did with the summary on this one. You do some regular street riding or something like that, and you're going to get about 2 kilometers for every percentage on this big one. But going on the freeway, you can get about 1.5 kilometers per percentage point. So that's sort of the general sort of rating. So if I was to say that one's like 800, 900 meters per percentage, I would imagine it's probably about 700 meters per percentage if you were going on the freeway. That would be my estimate. So if you can work that sort of stuff out, basically, in most cases, this thing was, from 100%, I was basically, in most cases, doing about 90 kilometers. But I probably could have gone a bit further. I didn't do a full test from 100% all the way down to 0. And this one, I haven't done a full test from 100% down to 0. I've probably done down to maybe about 5% or something like that. And like I said, you can range anywhere between like 106 kilometers up to like 210 or something like that. So it all depends on your riding style. But overall, both very nice bikes. And what else is there to say? I don't know. Just more features with the black one. Bigger battery. easier charging with that Type 2 charger, and you know, you can muddle around with the range estimates and the charging settings, so a little bit more user friendly. Not as much storage, but and the handling doesn't feel quite as nice on the black one, but you know, it's just more user friendly. And personally, I think I've said on one other video that, you know, that when it comes to these types of bikes, I think that under 10 kilowatt hours is not good enough. I think it needs to be at least 10 every single time as a minimum. Alright, thanks for watching.